Okay, guys, it's time to dance. We've got Karina LaMalfa on the Lillian McDermott radio show, and we are going to talk about some great myths about being a whole food, plant-based eater. And we're also going to talk about how to set ourselves up for success. It's all about success. So let's start dancing. I hope you can hear the music. I know Karina's dancing. You're a good dancer.
Thank you. You as well.
You know, I have a friend that comes on and he does the Muppets. Remember the Muppets?
Yes.
This is the place you can always turn to.
Okay, here we go. I'm so glad my mic is off until I go on the air.
Visit her at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth, consider a new truth, and live the life of your dreams. I am just so excited because today we're going to start chipping away at some of the myths that we all create because we are comfortable in our own misery. We complain about our health, and we desire that our health be better. We complain about our diseases, but yet we do everything we can to keep them. What is it about us that we are unwilling to get out of our comfort zone? And when I say us, I mean me too. Remember, I am learning and I am growing along with you. So I do not pretend, nor do I believe that I am evolved, because when I spend time with my family, they tell me otherwise. And I know that for a fact, that I am learning and growing. The moment you think, the moment I think I know it all, put a chalk line around you, baby, because you are dead. Mm-hmm. And so it's time. It is time. We're getting closer to the end of the year. We need to take inventory about some of the things that we can change. They're simple little tweaks. But what keeps us tied down, what keeps us shackled, is our limitations, our beliefs about a certain thing. But here's the thing. All of us are already beginning to take inventory and creating some resolutions. I hate that word, quote unquote, resolutions. And we're going to end that because we're going to talk about commitments. We're going to talk about the 8% that can make it beyond a resolution past February. But we are going to end all that. I have teamed up with Karina LaMalfa. She is a health coach, she's a nutrition coach that has a lot of credentials. She probably has more credentials behind her name than a lot of the doctors that we go to. And she is the nutrition coach at My Ethos Health, or Ethos Health. If you go to myethoshealth.com, you can find her there. So today we're going to talk about the myths that we believe is like if we want to shift our nutrition, and also how to set ourselves up with some batch cooking. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Karina LaMalfa is here to do just that. Welcome back, Karina.
Thank you, Lillian. My pleasure to be here.
And it is ours. We have spent a lot of time since the last time you were on the show. Mm-hmm. We decided to team up. We're going to do this together, and we're even going to create an event on February 12th. We don't know what it's going to look like yet, but if you want to be a part of this event and you want to know what's going on, send me an email, send me a text, whatever you want to do. So my email is lily@whenyouneedafriend.com, and my phone number is 407-373-5959. Call me, send me a text, say, I want to be a part of February 12th. And so, Karina, share a little bit about your background and why it is that we are so committed to doing this event.
Well, Lily, I would say I was plugging along as a marketer and an educator and a teacher of many different things, and I fell into whole food plant-based diet eating and changing, and it was life-changing for me and for my family. At the time, I was working at Whole Foods, and we were bringing about the wellness clubs, and I was a healthy eating specialist there, trained by lots of really wonderful doctors that you've had on the show.
Yes.
Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Barnard, I hope we can get him one day soon, and Dr. Furman.
Yes.
So once you know something, you can't unknow it. And
Yes.
There's a simplicity in the truth of a whole food plant-based diet that is undeniable by research and also in practice and what people see. That when we eat whole foods close to their source, it's the fuel our body expects, and we get out of our own way, and our body begins to heal, and our minds heal as well. And it's just a beautiful simplicity.
It is.
Nice way to live.
It is, and it's a great segue because this is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm telling you right now, February 12th, mark your calendar. We're going to create an event that's going to be to restart the resolution. We're going to wait till your resolutions are like done, and we're going to say, okay, enough of that. We're going to make some commitments. February 12th, this is the date. And we're going to continue our conversations about the myths and how to set up ourselves for success with a whole food plant-based lifestyle when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Isn't that the truth, Karina? That we are just overwhelmed with our limitations.
Absolutely. And they feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
And even if they're hurting us, you know, we can wrap what we do or how we do things around us like a big old blanket.
Yeah.
And then sometimes someone like you comes into your listener's life and says, thank you. And said, well, hopefully with my patients every day. And they say, listen, we have a crystal clear vision for you to consider. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
You make it easy and crystal clear. And I hope that's what you and I can do today a little bit.
Yeah, and I do too. So we have, for those of you who are waiting for the show to start, these are the viewers that watch us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm so grateful to you. Please remember to subscribe, and the shows will be sent to you. It's pretty easy. Talk about easy peasy. Just subscribe to my website, whenyouneedafriend.com, subscribe to my YouTube video, and everything will just come to you. That's the way, isn't that the law of attraction? What we want comes to us. So today we're going to talk about 8 myths. I love these myths. These were created by Karina LaMalfa. We had a conversation about several weeks ago about putting this together. We had a vision. We still don't know what that vision is going to look like, but February 12th is the date. So we have some time to create it. I want, for all of us to be a part of it. I don't know if we could stream it, but certainly we can have the people from Jacksonville or the surrounding areas from Florida. You're coming from New Jersey. I'm excited about that.
Yep, I will be there. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Well, you're going to also be with us on January 5th, which I don't know whether or not we're going to do, something smaller, maybe a support group or something, but we're still talking about that. I don't want to overextend Karina. She has a nice little vacation plan, and I want her to enjoy as much as that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you had mentioned at the November show that we did together that you might invite a few members of your community in, and we'll just have a talk.
Just have a little talk. Just have a little talk. Nothing major. And if you're still up for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So January 5th. Is that a Monday? Is that the Monday that we talked about?
It's a Friday.
Oh, that's the Friday. Okay.
Yes.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. And today's teacher is Karina LaMalfa. She is the nutrition coach at Ethos Health in New Jersey, and we get to have her here today and learn from her. Now, Karina, you have helped so many people, and so you've probably heard every single one of the excuses, limitations, limited beliefs that we all have that keep us from our health. So you came up with 8 of these myths.
Yes, these are not only myths, but they're the top questions that we get, as you said, every day. And behind them is that limiting thought, something that we believe or we're taught through culture or our family. And it does get in the way sometimes of good health. But the way to get through them is to talk about them, to bring the question up. All questions are good. So I would say the number one question that I get is, if I eat a whole food plant-based diet, I won't possibly get enough protein.
Okay.
So I'm just going to launch right into the way I would answer that.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, as if I or one of our other nutrition coaches, there are 3 of us that work with Dr. Weiss at Ethos in New Jersey. So how would we answer that? We have been taught that we need a lot more protein than we truly do. So if you look at the RDA, what a dietitian would give you or would recommend, they would generally recommend 46 grams for women and 56 grams for men. But the World Health Organization, which has an awful lot of worldwide, global, independent literature, will recommend something like 10% of calories. So if Lillian and I are eating 1,600 calories a day, we really need 160 of those to come from a good source, and it doesn't have to be animal food. So I get all my protein through plants, just like chimpanzees and other primates. You know, they
that are big.
They are largely plant eaters. They're leaf eaters. Yeah. So along with, giant muscular animals like thoroughbred horses and rhinos. I mean, these are like giant, strong animals eating plants. Cows, right?
Yes.
So big cows and bulls. So it keeps your energy up high, because in addition to getting the protein, you're not getting the toxins that would be found in other animal-based foods. Okay. And you're also not getting saturated fat. So the body loves it. We'll talk about, one of my favorite recipes later, chickpea patties, or, it's like an adaptation of a falafel. Mm-hmm. You and I were talking last night about tofu. One of my favorite foods, we're going to hear more about it in 2018, is blocks of tempeh, very high in protein. And then all foods have some protein. So,
so let me expand with this. When you're talking about tempeh, when you're talking about soy products, like, for example, tofu, we must make sure that it is non-GMO. Make sure that it is non-GMO, which means that it doesn't have the chemicals, the poisons that have Roundup in it. So let's just be aware of that. So so the next one you said, so it's not enough protein. I hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. Another one that you came up with was, what do you eat all day?
Right.
I don't like eating vegetables all day. I hate vegetables. So what do you say to that, Karina?
So people think that you're going to just be eating lettuce and it's just going to be a cold and dismal existence. Yes. But I've adapted so many of our family favorites, lasagnas and soups and stews. And my grandmother made a cannellini and escarole soup, and that's something that we eat frequently. So it's an incredibly varied diet. And what I find with my patients is that they're actually eating a very limited diet before they go plant-based. Mm-hmm. And then when they go plant-based, they realize the fruits and the legumes and the nuts and the seeds and all the endless combinations of those great foods. And that's where they meet true abundance. There is true abundance in a whole food plant-based diet that does not exist in a diet of grilled cheese and pizza and what we frequently grab and go.
Well, as you're saying, that there's so many things that we're grabbing and going. And that's why we want to do the batch cooking conversation later on the show.
Great.
But if we think about this grab and go, we're not grabbing nutrition. We are running on empty. We are putting sand in our gas tank. If we were a car, we would be stuck in the side of the road. And nobody would question. If you put sand in your car, nobody would question that at all. Yeah. But you put, junk in your body, and then we're shocked when we get sick. How could that be? I had my Twinkies and Yo-Hos, and it doesn't have to be a Twinkie and Yo-Ho. I don't eat any of that, but I love my grilled cheese, and I love my potato chips, and those things that are 100% lack of nutrients. It doesn't have any nutrients. So that way of that lack-minded thinking is also causing us disease. So what is the next thing that you have heard of, Karina, that is a myth?
People are usually concerned that they won't get enough calcium. So they're wondering what's going to happen to their bones. Mm-hmm. And there's some really excellent global literature showing that the countries where people eat more dairy, so more milk, cheese, cream, butter, food, and foods like that, they actually have much higher rates of osteoporosis and fractures.
Yes.
So it's when your body is getting the calcium from your greens and your other vegetables and whole foods, that is when your bones are stronger. And exercise does play an important role, but it doesn't have to be huge amounts. Yes. So keeping our muscles strong, that helps our bones, and then not taxing our kidneys and our bones.
Yes. And so I want to add to what you're saying, Karina. My husband, when we first got married, probably until maybe 4 years ago, would have a bowl of ice cream almost every night. He was diagnosed with osteoporosis. And he heard a guy, he's a chemist who used to work for the pharmaceutical industry, about it. And he said on the show that calcium derived by animal products like milk and cheese is the number one cause of osteoporosis. This guy, Raymond Francis, completely converted my husband after all these years doing the show, and he stopped. And my husband's osteoporosis is reversing. So he went from osteoporosis, I think he has osteopenia right now. So, I mean, it's gone backwards. And it was something simple like saying, okay, where does a cow get their source of calcium, which is greens, right?
Right. Yes, from the grass. Mm-hmm.
From the grass. Not necessarily the milk, but you know what? Great marketing. We've bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. It's time for us to learn this new truth. Okay, so myth number 4.
Myth number 4. Let's see. There's no proof. So I can't follow the whole food plant-based movement is a fad diet with no research behind it.
Okay.
And if you, as your listeners know, Lily, because you have people on here telling you about the research. You have Dr. Greger, an incredible independent researcher, and he brings research from all around the globe that's been, it's been peer-reviewed. It's not a fad. We've had 100 years of research going into whole food plant-based eating. So there's if you look at the population in Loma Linda, they're a wonderful, just as an example, they're a great blue zone. In general, Loma Linda has a lot of Seventh-day Adventists who generally split perfectly 50-50 between people who eat meat and people who are vegetarian or vegan. And they have a lot of great lifestyle practices that we also support here. Exercise, community, a sense of believing in something larger than yourself wherever possible.
Yeah.
And they don't smoke, and generally they don't drink. So they're a really easy population in America to study. And what's been really clear is that those who are vegetarian or vegan have much fewer kinds of diseases that we think are common to aging, like heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this is the one way that we know of, following a true whole food plant-based diet, to not only, as you mentioned, but to reverse but also to end many of these diseases and certainly to prevent them. And that's what we want for our young people.
Absolutely. It's one of the largest studies that they've done on nutrition. And we've had Dr. Hans Deal on the show.
Yep.
So I don't know if you knew that, but Dr. Hans Deal has been on the show. You can listen to him at whenyouneedafriend.com if you want to listen to that show. He's probably been on like 4 or 5 times, but it's one of the largest, and he's the founder of CHIP. That's
Yes.
I don't know what is CHIP. Do you know what CHIP stands for?
Community health. I'll look it up on our break.
Yeah, okay. So he was the one that started it. And
intervention program, something like that, but I don't want to slaughter it.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. But I didn't realize that Loma Linda had a high Seventh-day Adventist. I know that there's a lot of doctors that go there to study the blue zones, but that's really interesting. Thank you for adding that. Now, okay, so what is the next myth before we...
I'm going to jump right into it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive.
I love that one.
Yeah. And we do get this all the time. How can you suggest that I do this? I'm on a budget. I mean, don't you understand that I'm, spending my money in other areas? I have kids in college, or I have a mortgage, or, there are so many reasons. I'll be honest, in the very beginning, when we're asking people to clean out their pantry, as you and I did, with your listeners in November, there can be an outlay of certain things like spices and vinegars and whole grains and beans.
And you can get those at bulk. You can get them at bulk, and it's cheaper.
Yes, absolutely. But then once you've made that transition, and your kitchen is cleaner, and you've bought a couple of cookbooks, and maybe you've, listened to more shows with Lillian, at that point, it is really much less expensive. So, I mean, if you have a family of 4, a typical family of 4, think of what you would spend for steak. And instead, you're buying kale at 1/4 of the cost, and rice and beans and peppers and vegetables. So I know people, Jeff Novick, he's a great registered dietitian who has talked a lot, great website. And he does a program where he'll show you on a video, actually, how to eat for $5 a day.
Wow. And feed how many people? Just one person?
Per person, yes. $5 a day per person. He uses a lot of canned food and frozen food and dried spices just to show you just how inexpensive it can be. We find that if you want to add fresh greens, very important, fresh or frozen berries, you'll probably get up to about $10 or $15 per day per person. But it comes in much, much cheaper. And then eating out and batch cooking, of course, brings it even cheaper. So
wonderful. Okay, I am loving all these myths because you know what? I've used them. I've said them at one point or another. And so I'm excited that we're just putting it out there, everybody, so that as you enter this new year, you are ready to face all these hurdles and you're going to be successful. And we're going to continue our conversation with Karina LaMalfa when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I love these, Karina. I love these because everyone. Now, I think it's interesting. I had Team, where are they? Shirzai. Team Shirzai. Dr. Shirzai. His name is Dean. I just interviewed them. Lovely, lovely couple. He studied the Loma Linda, and he's a neurologist. He's a neurologist. He and his wife, what a dynamic duo. They're going to be coming to Tampa at the beginning of February, like February 8th or whatever. They're going to do this big event. Anyway, but it's Loma Linda. He was like one of the doctors who were studying this blue zone in Loma Linda. So when you said that, I thought, God, I didn't know that the Seventh-day Adventist, which isn't it also called the Daniel diet? I've heard some people call it. I wonder if it's the same.
I have that. I can run off and get that book. I think it is a different. I know. I know Dr. Amen does the Daniel diet, and I thought it was a different church. I didn't think that they were Seventh-day Adventists, but I can look it up. I'm looking up Hans Deal.
Yeah.
And the CHIP. Okay, Complete Health Improvement Program. That's what CHIP stands for.
Yeah. Complete
30-day lifestyle education program. Just so we don't confuse anybody.
health improvement
Program.
program.
Yes.
Yeah. Before I met Dr. Furman, I was considering doing the complete health improvement program. And, but once I met Dr. Furman, and he's been on the show. I mean,
Yes.
he's done so much. And I actually spoke to him this last time he was on, and I said to him, you know, there are courses that people can take to learn, and you obviously are certified with as a nutritarian. How does nutritarian differ from, you know, CHIP or you know, other forms of whole food plant-based?
Oh, it's such a good question. So every doctor that I'm certified with has just a slightly different slant. So so I've worked with Dr. Furman in the past, and I was trained by him at Whole Foods. And so he developed the nutritarian approach with a scale to actually look at which foods have the highest phytonutrient benefit per calorie. So it could get very technical. You know, kale is up at the top. And he went all the way down to some of the less nutritious foods like cheese and ice cream and soda, and some of those have a negative ranking. They actually do more damage than they have any macro or micronutrients.
Sure.
So that would be a more clinical answer, but the approach is basically fill your stomach with healthier whole food, and you will be healthier as well. So
okay, so with the nutritarian lifestyle,
right, you're going to get lots of greens, lots of berries, nuts and seeds, whole grains. What am I forgetting? Fruit, other fruits, and vegetables.
So if you look at the nutritarian wheel, he has 0 to 5% for people who just cannot give up the animal products.
He does. You're right.
And that's what I love about the nutritarian approach, that he has incorporated for people who feel, oh, well, I don't want to go vegan.
Right.
Nutritarian to me is the next step.
Yeah, I'm holding his most recent book, and you did two shows on this, and you bring up a great point. He does have a little room for well-sourced chicken and fish. Yeah. I guess salmon, right? So as clean as possible. You know, from the best source you can get it. Yeah. So this is my newest read. It's very, very interesting. Good recipes.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The show is starting. So here we go. So I will reintroduce you in a bit. So let's get through all of these. We have what? Three more to go. We've got 3 more to go.
Just 3, yeah.
That's it. And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we go through life with this childlike wonder, learn something new by spending time with whoever is in front of you. Learn something new and make it a positive learning, because there are people in front of you that might present themselves as a teacher that will teach you what not to do. And some will teach you what to do. Like today, we have Karina LaMalfa. She is, because of what she's gone through and all her journey and the people that she's helped, she's able to kind of like help us like look at those myths that we think are, bigger in our head that really truly are in our life. And that's what we call taking 100% responsibility for our life. Yes, there may have been things that you do not want to repeat in your life, but here's the deal. You learned something from it. It made you stronger. It made you aware that you are enough. This is where we stop. This is where we take 100% responsibility for our life. But the kind of responsibility I'm talking about is the one that leads to empowerment and freedom, the one that will set you free from disease, the one that will set you free from limitations, limited belief, but will keep us bound in our comfort zone, sick, tired, miserable. That is the song of the ego. I don't get no satisfaction. And so here's what we'd like to propose is that you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. The show will be sent to you from that moment that you become a subscriber. The show gets sent to you on a daily basis. Also, you will also get some free gifts. You'll get the 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. So there's a lot of benefits to becoming a subscriber. You'll get to find out who's on the show before anybody else is. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. And I ask that when you do, check out my sponsors, because without them, we would not have a show. So please check them out and see how you can support them the way they are supporting the show. Also, I want you to check out my social media. If you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, or when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you can click on any of my social media. Make sure you like me there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. All you have to do is click and point and click. That's it. It's very simple. Also, I want to hear from you today. Karina and I are planning an event on February 12th, and I know I'm dating myself here. So February 12th, that we're going to come together. And the name of the event will be shared later on. But it is important that we embrace this new truth that we're learning on the Lillian McDermott radio show so that we can incorporate it to what feels right for you. And also, you can call me at 407-373-5959. I want to challenge you to come up with different hurdles or myths that you're struggling with right now. Like maybe it's too late for me. That's a big one. I'm too old to change my ways. No way. So text me at 407-373-5959 or email me or call me at 407-373-5959. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have learned. Tomorrow's show is about that. I want to hear from you. What have you learned from this show as we've gone along? So 407-373-5959, either share your myths, your limiting beliefs, what you've learned, and let's continue to grow together. Today we have Karina LaMalfa, who is sharing these myths that she's heard. Myth number 1, not enough protein. Myth number 2, not enough, excuse me, not enough calcium. Go ahead, you say it.
Myth number 3, it's too expensive. We also covered there's no proof. It's whole food plant-based living is a fad diet. And of course, the one that no one wants to hear, that I'll only eat vegetables and there's nothing else, because there really is, the land of abundance is at the door of whole food plant-based eating. So I'll just keep talking while you drink. So the next one that I hear is a fear that people will be weak and sick. And that is so interesting. It talks to what you talked about, the point that you brought up earlier, Lillian, where we've been taught that meat and dairy products make us strong.
Yeah.
And actually what we see here in our clinic is that people get better in a lot of ways. So not only do they drop their diabetes indicators, they no longer are even pre-diabetic, their blood pressure comes down, they step away from habits, they get better sleep. I mean, they're just getting better. They're sleeping better while they're eating well. Very often also autoimmune issues resolve. So that's what we see. But then what about the actual little things that plague people, like ear infections, sinus infections, colds? I personally went probably from 7 colds a year, maybe with 1 or 2 antibiotics. When I went whole food plant-based in 2004, I started noticing that I wouldn't get sick. Or if I did get a cold, I would have a cold for 24 hours. And at that point, I was talking to Dr. Furman like you were as well.
Yeah.
And we would call it in my house the Furman 15%. So if someone had a cold or a flu, we might get it, but we'd get 15-20% of it.
Yeah.
So it would be so mild, and then everything just would start to go away. So colds, flus, they become a thing of the past. And we also like to look at some of our plant-based athletes, so there are some great men's fitness Rich Roll has a great podcast as well, and he was rated the most fit man in the world.
Yeah.
There are vegan and whole food plant-based NFL players. It's great for strong bones, right? If you've got fewer hip fractures, you're a better athlete anyway.
Absolutely.
So it's very good for athletes because it seems to turn around their recovery time.
Yeah.
So we do hear that they recover and they can work out more because they're recovering more quickly.
I think people are ready. You know, we're tired of the lies that we're being told by the pharmaceutical industry. We're being told lies by the food industry. So it's time. Okay, so number 7.
I love this one. A whole food plant-based diet is extreme. So many doctors will say, and we say over and over again, that it may seem extreme. You know, if you're stepping away from milkshakes and regular, traditional, conventional dairy-based ice creams, sure, it feels really, really extreme. And if you're changing your holidays and having to bring a beautiful casserole, you know, to Christmas dinner like I am, it does feel extreme. But actually, what is extreme are the medical protocols that treat the disease in a conventional way. Yeah. I mean, if we think about it, you know, gosh, it was actually a year ago that my own dad, you know, it's very hard even to change our own family members. Mm-hmm. So my dad got stuck in a protocol. He went from angioplasty to quintuple bypass to many, many other things. And all of the things that he believed would help him actually set him up to have 2 really horrible months and then an end of life outcome, which was not the way he had intended.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry to hear that. You know,
Thank you.
We become medicalized. That's
yes.
the bottom line.
And it was that's extreme. So, you know, removing veins from your arms and legs and wrapping them around our precious little hearts. I mean, to me, that sounds really extreme.
I know that Dr. Esselstyn says that line gets me every time.
I know. I love, that's right. He's the one who says that, right. He always connects it to bypass.
Well,
all right. So
number 8, the last one, which I tell you what, this is something I mentioned, I think it was yesterday in Dr. Furman's or another show that I did, that I said, I've taken the bullets. I started living this lifestyle, finding out what I was allergic to, stopping it. And I've been made fun of. I've been ridiculed. And the same people that made fun of me and ridiculed me and made it very difficult for me to live this lifestyle are now doing this lifestyle. They're curious. They're interested. They're seeing that I've improved with my health. Although today I'm having a little coughing attack. But for the most part, I am very healthy. Mm-hmm. And most people my age would be going through a decline. And I feel stronger today than I did when I was 30.
Yes, agreed. And I've heard Dr. Weiss say, it's one of my favorite things that Dr. Weiss says. He says that if you eat a whole food plant-based diet and keep an eye on your health factors, the way you and I feel right now, we can be walking around like this at 96. I don't know. That's kind of
I love that. I love that. Dr. Furman says that as well. He says that, you know, that we should have perhaps maybe a decline at the end of our life, like at the 100 and at the 100. That's when we should start seeing the decline. The reality is,
so the quality of life is drawing out. So we're drawing out many, many, many good years instead of being sick for 20 years, 25 years, which we think is the status quo. We think that is how it has to be. How about living well and then just declining at the end? That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to continue our conversation with Karina LaMalfa when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. My goodness, I'm all chunked up.
Yeah. You know, it happens. Sometimes it just, especially this time of year, I don't know if it's the heat, but a little tickle will get stuck in your throat. That was why right before we started, I came running in with a glass of water.
I got it. I ran over to
just
the
in
kitchen.
Case.
I ran over because I ran out of water and I'm coughing. And I'm trying to, you know, and I just had some vitamin C. And guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? Actually, not tomorrow. I'm going to do this on Saturday at 11. And I'm going to go to a place that does IVs. And because I have been exposed to a lot of people that have been sick.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And I have been plugging away, as you know, the life of a marketer.
Mm-hmm.
The last week of, right before Christmas, you do
busy.
deliveries and all that. And about 3 weeks ago, I was exposed to very, very sick people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, my body, I started, you know what I did? I put garlic in my mouth.
It's a great idea.
And I've been doing oregano, which I should be going to get some oregano right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, how much time do we have, Brian? Let me get some.
2 minutes.
How much?
2 minutes.
Okay. So while I'm gone, Karina, I would like for you to talk about one of your favorite recipes, okay?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So we'll do that right now for 2 minutes, right? Okay. So Lillian and I were talking about ways to batch cook to make some of this lifestyle easier. So at Ethos, we really do promote a lot of greens and berries and vegetables. I like to prep my vegetables, or my raw vegetables, that would be peppers, cucumbers, radishes, carrots, and then steamed chickpeas, of course, and then some of my greens. I like to have it prepped all ahead and then have that in the refrigerator in containers ready to go. So I use, dressings are important to people. Some of us are eating our greens plain, but most people tell me to get a lot of greens in, they need a good dressing. So I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite ranch dressing recipes. I do a lot with cashews. So we're going to start with about half a cup of raw cashews, and we're going to pour not hot, but warm water over them and let that sit for half an hour. And then everything can go right into a food processor that I'm going to tell you, or a Vitamix. So after your cashews soak, rinse them, throw them into your Vitamix or food processor, add about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. The zest of 1 lemon is nice there as well. 1 teaspoon of apple cider or red wine vinegar. And then this is a really easy ranch dressing recipe. It's great for winter because we're going to use onion and garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon or a little bit more of both. And then a scallion or green onion, the whole thing. Take off the roots, rinse it off, and use the white and the green parts. And then I like 2 to 3 teaspoons of fresh dill. Blend that up, pour that on your greens.
Nice. I love that. Okay, so now I have got some oregano in me. I smell like a salad.
Oh, good.
Okay, so now it's time for batch cooking.
Okay, batch cooking. So we went through our 8 myths, and now we're just going to talk about ways to make the practice easier.
Okay, hold on. And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. I just got some oregano in me, oregano oil, and hopefully my coughing will stop. I don't know what's going on. I got a tickle in my throat. And as a radio show host, that tickle in your throat is not a good thing. It's not a good, funny, ha-ha tickle. It is like, oh my gosh, it's not uncontrollable tickle. Okay, so we've talked about the 8 myths. So if you're tuning in now, you're just going to have to go back and listen to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show with Karina LaMalfa, who is our guest, our teacher today. And we're talking about the myths. What is keeping you from health? We're not talking about losing weight at this point, because the side effects of a whole food plant-based diet is that your body will be returned to your ideal weight. And don't let anybody. So when my husband started eating whole food plant-based, he went from being slender to being even more slender. And so, actually he was skinny to being slender. And so people were like, what, are you sick? You look like are you sick? And he is stronger now. He looks better now, because I get to see him without his shirt. He looks better now than he did when he was quote unquote skinny, when he was like a smaller size. And he went to his doctor, who is a regular doctor, allopathic, and he said, people are thinking I look sick. And you know what his response was? After he checked all his blood and did a physical on my husband, he said, here's the problem. We live in a fat society.
Mm.
Anyone who has returned to their natural body weight is called sick. How
Right.
sick is that? That someone who is healthy,
Yeah.
people go, oh, you're sick. So people are going to say you might look sick. But it's
Right.
because they're used to seeing you overweight. So what do you have to say? Do you see that as well, Karina?
We see that a lot, and that is one of the biggest roadblocks as people are becoming more lean and they're losing their visceral fat, the fat that's around their organs, creating havoc in their bodies, and then their subcutaneous fat. As they're losing both of those, the people around them do start to panic.
Yes.
Because we are used to seeing people thin and lean when they are dying from diseases. So the question becomes, are you sick? Are you sick? And in fact, the person has never been healthier.
Yes.
It's the same thing as you mentioned
That's
about
right.
your husband.
He looks good. Yeah. So here's the deal. Karina and I, after our last conversation back in November, we decided that we wanted to do something together. I love her philosophy. I love the fact that she's been trained not only by Dr. Furman, but Dr. Bernard. She's also been trained by, who else have you been trained by?
Let's see. On the West Coast, Dr. Letterman and Dr. Polday. So they are the the medical consultants to John Mackey and Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Dr. Esselstyn for sure. Dr. Campbell, I think you said. Dr. Weiss is my everyday teacher, thank goodness. And Dr. Barnard, his Fit for Life program.
Okay, so we have
everybody.
And that's just
Dr.
to name a few. Yes, to name a
Dr.
few.
Scott Stoll in Pennsylvania. Great guy.
So we decided that we were going to do something different and new. And as we know, the end of the year is happening. People have great resolutions, but people who keep the resolutions is about 8%. So we're going to change it to commitment. We're going to change the word resolution. Now, you may want to try it on your own because that's what we want to do. But come February, those treadmills are available again. Because I wrote an article in Florida Today, saying, that I hated the new year just for the fact that someone would be in my treadmill when I would get there on January 2nd or 3rd. And of course, I don't hate anything, but that was just, it was an inconvenience for me with people that are just coming for just about a month. So we want to end that. We want to end that resolution idea and make it more of a commitment. So we came up with a new year, a new truth, and a new you. So a new year, new truth, new you, February 12th. We're talking about January 5th as having a small little group of people that want to come together. If you want to be invited to the small group, email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. That's lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. And we will start this group. If I don't get any emails, we won't do it. So it's important that you send me an email at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com because January 5th is coming right around the corner. And this will get you kickstart for the year, for the start of the year. Then February 12th is when we can start tweaking it again. So one of the things that we are going to talk about now is batch cooking, which I absolutely love. It makes a difference. Explain real quick, Karina, what batch cooking is.
Batch cooking is cooking in larger amounts twice a week, in a nutshell. You could do it once a week, but twice a week seems to work for people. And they generally will try something like a Sunday night and then like a Wednesday night refresher. So in addition to what I talked about, having a salad bar in your refrigerator, setting that all up for success for your week so you can make your salads and add your beans, I like to have some soups and stews that offer that hearty, good down-home feeling so that you feel nourished. In front of me, I have a West African peanut soup, which is really nice. It's nice cold. It's nice hot. Can
you make it with cashews?
I make this one with peanut butter or raw peanuts. So we can do it both ways, but most people would have a good, healthy, low sodium peanut butter on hand. So I tried to find a recipe that, with ingredients that people would have nearby. So almost everything I cook starts with 1 diced onion in a pan with a little water or broth, and we're water sauteing that with black pepper. Sometimes I'll add another cup of chopped celery to that. 2 tablespoons of grated ginger. I think on our last show we showed one of my favorite tools, which was like a cheese grater, but you use it for ginger and nuts. Really nice. We like things hot here, so I'll add 1/8 of a teaspoon of red chili pepper flakes. If you want it mild, up to maybe half a teaspoon. And then into that goes 5 cups of sweet potatoes. You're going to cover that all in a vegetable broth. I usually make my own on a batch cooking day from the ends of a lot of my vegetables. So you're going to cover that with 3 to 4 cups of broth. And if you don't have it, water is fine. I usually add a tomato at this point too, diced up, and then about half a cup of low sodium peanut butter. If you want to go truly whole foods, you can add a half to 3/4 of a cup of raw peanuts not in the shell.
So I'm allergic to peanuts, so can I do cashews?
Yes, how about cashews? Great, that's great. And almond butter would be terrific. Almonds are also terrific too.
Okay.
And then you're just going to keep 1/4 cup of parsley and 1/4 cup of cilantro to the side for later. Sometimes I add cumin to everything, so go ahead and throw in a little cumin and turmeric. You're going to cook that all for about half an hour and then blend it. Couldn't be easier. Store that in your refrigerator for 5 days. It freezes well. It's a lot of good fuel in there.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Okay, so what we do, and one of the things that I batch cook is I do chickpea curry in a hurry. That's Dr. Joel Furman's recipe. If you guys want these recipes, just let me know and I'll send them to you or post them on Facebook. There's also, I love to do my soy, my tofu, and I make it in a the style I use is a more of an Indian, and it's a tofu with curry, and it's got all those Indian spices in it. You can throw it on a salad. You can eat it in a sandwich. You can eat it with some sweet potatoes, like if it were a piece of steak. Well, here's the thing. Those are things that we're going to talk about on January 5th, which is, what are some recipes, maybe some recipe swaps. There are a lot of people that we can turn to give us some good tips on what recipes that will work best for batch cooking. But if you take all your greens and your onions and your cucumbers and tomatoes and you chop them all up in one day and you put them in these containers, you can use that like Karina calls it, a salad bar in your own refrigerator, and it's easy to take with you. But as I can see, the time has gone, Karina, and there's never enough time. So batch cooking 1 day a week, and then the rest of the week, it's easy peasy. Thank you, Karina, for being on the show. I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Lillian. My pleasure, as always.
And to you, my listening friend, okay, it's a new year, a new truth, and a new you. What are you going to do about it? Give me a call or at Lily at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Make it the best day ever. I had to go. I was like, I couldn't do my whole line. But anyway, thank you, Brian. Okay, so yes, I know that recipes are so important.
Yes.
To get that big fear, it's going to take a long time. That would be myth number 9.
That it's going to take
a long time for preparation.
Yes, and also what you said, it's too late. I mean, that is huge. People come in at 50 and say, is it too late? I mean, no, it's never too late. We've helped people in their late 80s. And sometimes those changes are profound. How about just being pain-free?
Yeah.
Even if it's a disease that we can't reverse, how about having no pain and sleeping well and being mobile? I mean, those are tremendous improvements. And most people see even more.
Yeah. It's one of those things that we can control the outcome. And I know there's a lot of skeptics out there saying, this is too simple to be real. Right. And the reality is, it is.
It is, yeah. It is simple, and it is a crystal clear message, and it is a beautiful way to live.
It
And it's
is.
easy
Okay.
once you transition.
Can you send me that recipe, or can you post it on, just send it to me. I'll cut and paste it and I'll put it on the website
Okay.
today.
I'm going to give you the ranch dressing, the peanut or almond butter soup, the sweet potato soup, right? And I don't think we have time for a chocolate mousse, but I can throw that in too, because when you're breaking your craving cycle, it's very nice to get a healthy sweet.
But you know what? I've become like a sweet expert, because I do absolutely love my desserts. And
I do as well. I still judge a cookbook from the back. Let me look at the desserts. I know what to do with my salads, but I'll know if this chef is good with whatever they do with their sweets.
That's right. It's so important. That's a lot of people think we're going to give up. That's it. We're going to give up. That's, I don't know, another one. Give up taste.
Yes. Yes. And I think, you know what, next time we talk, we should talk about the emotional aspects of what it's like to have to create a culture, your own culture inside your own family and friend culture.
Okay. So is January 5th the day of your show, and then the 7th we're going to do, or the 8th we're going to do the group? But anyway, let's talk.
Okay, we'll talk offline. I think it's all that Friday, because I think we're doing all of that on Friday.
Okay.
But you and I, let's be honest, you and I have like a year's worth of topics to hit.
I know.
So we'll be, but that's a good one.
So January 5th, what we can do, and maybe we can do Facebook Live where people can interact on that
would be
day.
Great.
Yeah,
That's
so we'll do January 5th. You tell me the time once we're off the air, and then we'll create an event on Facebook Live, and people can interact with us and ask questions. So we'll be going.
That's a great idea.
Okay,
that's a great idea.
That way people can feel empowered and be a part of our group that we're starting. I'm making a commitment to be 100% whole food plant-based starting 2018. I will acknowledge that I have been about 80%. And you know what? I don't apologize for my 80%.
Of course not.
And I don't feel guilty about my 20%. I don't. But I feel that if I'm going to go in on all this, I want to be on in all the way. And who changed my philosophy on this one was Dr. Esselstyn. Dr. Esselstyn, last time he was on the show, he said to me, Lily, I had this woman come to me and say, Dr. Esselstyn, I follow your diet 90% of the time. And he goes, that's not my diet. My diet is 100% of the time. And I'm like, ooh.
Yes.
Should I tell him I said 80%? Yeah.
And it's because his focus is on heart disease. So he actually clears the veins, arteries, and capillaries in someone's body who has been sent home by their cardiologist to die.
Yeah.
So he is looking for very strict adherence, because he's saving people's lives. So, yeah.
And once you get to that point where you know that you have developed a change, you have changed it 100%.
Yes.
You can get a little bit more, not lax, but a little bit more loose with, because like you said, we're going to lose all our friends or whatever. To me, I'd rather have healthy friends. Like Dr. Lorraine Day, she says, I discovered, because she was in her 50s when she had stage 4 cancer, and she chose not to do chemotherapy. And now she's 83.
Wow.
And so it's been, so she was in her 70s, maybe? I don't know. I know she was up in age, 60. She was in her 60s. So now she's in her 80s. And I still do shows. Dr. Day is still alive, part 5.
Wow.
And so she said, there is a side effect. She's seen a downside to the vegan and eating healthy, and which is you lose your friends.
Yeah.
And she said she goes, and this was she was very sincere when she said this. She said, I just lost my friend of 30 years. She would not listen to me.
Yes.
And that's what happened. And she said, I just have to get younger friends.
Yes.
She's so cute.
And there are two ways to lose your friends. It sounds like you're saying that her friend may have passed away from an illness that
It was totally unnecessary.
An unnecessary illness. And then the other way you lose your friends is when they feel uncomfortable with your change.
Yeah.
So, most of us experience change as loss. And if they see that you're not doing things the way you used to, you're not available to go out, and binge on different types of substances, and, so you have to you have a cleaner way of living. And it doesn't look as fun in the beginning to your friends and family, but it can be. Yeah. And then they will ask you for advice.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
We see that a lot.
That's happened to me right now. That's happening to me right now. I have been the butt of the joke for as long as I can remember.
Oh, yes.
And I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
But, I could say, I told you so, or I can just, or I can say to them, I remember when you used to make fun of me, but I choose not to live there. I choose to embrace change and welcome the change, like the prodigal father welcomed the prodigal son, without saying, where have you been? I was waiting for you and I gave you all my money, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the way that I want to live my life. And so now that people are coming back, it just validates.
It does.
I don't know if the word is validate that I'm looking for, but it does give you a sense of gratification.
It points to the fact that all your research was not in vain, not for you and not for those you love. So.
And we know this.
Yes.
We know this truth, but we've had so much media, so much garbage thrown at us saying that our intuition is wrong.
Yes.
And that if you eat this Cheeto and that somehow that's going to give you the nutrition that you need. That's crap.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so happy today that that you thought of doing the myths, the myths behind beginning a whole food plant-based diet, because they are the blocks. Those are the roadblocks.
Yeah, let's just face them.
You tackled 8 roadblocks today.
Yeah.
So together we did. So
yes, and there's 2 more that we came up with. Actually, 3 more. One of them is preparing all this food takes too much time.
Right.
That's why we have batch days. And then that it's too late for me. That's one of them. And then give up taste. And let me tell you, I love people that come over to eat at my house. They become curious as to what is in here. But we just got to get out of our comfort zone. Got to get out of our comfort zone, and it'll all fall into place.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
Karina, thank you so much for always sharing your wisdom, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lillian.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
And to you, my listening friend or my viewing friend at this point, I'm going to do my farewell, my goodbye that I wasn't able to do on my show. So this is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
ever.
Yay. Thank you. Until next time.
Thank you.